What's up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness coming to you once again. Sorry I have not been making a whole lot of videos lately. School's been pretty busy, and just with life in general, my YouTube channel for the moment has kind of taken a backseat a little bit. But I did want to make a video. During finals, I tweaked my back. And I've had some muscle strains and stuff in the past from heavy lifting and everything else. And so that's nothing new. Usually it goes away in a day or two. This one was a little bit different, so I wanted to make a video about this injury, if you want to call it that. So essentially how it happened was I'm in a physical therapy program, and we were doing spine back manipulations, basically cracking our back, cracking each other's backs, practicing doing that. So, and you can look it up. It's perfectly safe. It's perfectly fine. But before one of the big practicals, I had my back cracked a lot over a period of about a day and a half or so. Everyone was trying to get ready and remember how to do it and all that sort of stuff. And I have always been a little bit hyper flexible already. And so I think with me being relaxed and people repeatedly taking me to end range right there and then getting it to cavitate, to crack, manipulating it, it was just a bit too much for my back. And so the day after all that, it was a little bit sore, and then the day after it completely locked up and seized up on me, and it was excruciatingly painful for several days. Hurt to get out of bed, hurt to do all this other stuff. So I wanted to make a video just talking about how I approached it, my mindset approaching it, how I dealt with it, and now about a week and a half later, my back's pretty much good to go. So first of all, I wanted to go through how I actually approached it and how I ensured that it wasn't something more serious, okay? Immediately my thought was that it was probably some sort of muscle strain, muscle irritation essentially, just because everything had been taken to that end range there and kind of rapidly stretched essentially. So the big things that I was looking out for was, do I have any numbness and tingling down past the knees, anything like that? Do I have certain positions that are worse than others? So was it worse with bending forward or bending backwards or bending to the side? I was looking for a lot of those key pointers to see, is it more disc? Is it more, is it an actual fracture or something along those lines? And I was trying to rule out everything else in myself as I was paying attention to this. So how I knew that it was probably more just muscular and that it wasn't as serious was I didn't have any symptoms down past my knees. I had some, I really didn't even have too much into my legs. The back pain was pretty localized in my low back. It went down a little bit into my glutes, but it also went up. And so from that indicator, I was thinking, okay, it's probably muscular because it goes up and down instead of just down, just past. It's more likely muscular. I didn't have, so they'll often refer to it as a flexion bias or an extension bias or anything like that. I didn't have anything like that. Standing upright felt okay. Bending forward hurt. Bending backward hurt. Bending to the side hurt. Twisting hurt. Everything out of neutral hurt. And so if I was laying down, sweet, it was totally fine until I tried to move. If I laid on my stomach, it felt like a nice good stretch until I tried to move. And so that's how I was pretty sure that it was just a muscle spasm essentially. The muscles were really irritated. And I mean, to be honest, I've deadlifted 600 pounds for 5 reps. I've done all these other things. My back's never acted like this. There's been a couple times where it'll be a little bit sore for a day or two. But I've never had anything like this because I've always had that focus on bulletproofing my back. I want to make sure that my back is strong, especially because Military people are veterans are well known for having, you know, bad knees, bad backs, and well, coffee, alcohol, and tobacco dependency, I guess. So I'm trying to eliminate as many of those as possible and not have any of those risks. So twisting hurt, forward bending, backward bending, all that stuff hurt. So a lot of that kind of indicated to me more that it was some sort of muscle spasm, muscle issue, not disc, not vertebrae, nothing like that. So I did go ahead and talk to some of my faculty in the program and have them check it out as well, just to verify that I was on the correct track. And they also agreed that it was probably just muscular in nature. So how did I go about treating my back? So for the first couple days, basically I took, my mindset was reduce pain as much as possible, because pain is my limiting factor, okay? So it's not weakness, there's not anything else. It's just that when I move a certain way, it hurts and it would wake me up at night and all this other stuff. So my main goal was just reduce pain until it becomes manageable and then move from there. So how I went about reducing pain, took some Tylenol, used a heating pad. I tried doing a hot bath. That didn't work as well because I don't really fit in the tub, and that almost turned into a disaster because I almost couldn't get out of the tub. So if you're a small enough person and you fit in a bathtub, a hot bath could help for an injured back. If you're a larger person and you don't really fit in the bathtub, it may not necessarily be the best idea. But a heating pad is good. Just do it for about 20 minutes and then make sure that you at least take about a 20-minute break because you don't want to cause damage to the skin or anything like that. It's not a good idea to sleep on a heating pad or anything like that, even if it feels good temporarily. So Tylenol, heat. I would also just try and do gentle movement in a pain-free range, essentially. And so I would try and do cat-cow or cat-camel, depending on who you talk to. I would try and do that in a pain-free range. And so I'd just go up as high as I could comfortably until it started to twinge, and then go down as far as I could comfortably until it started to twinge. Just trying to get as much movement as I could without bringing on my symptoms. I also tried doing some basically bar traction, hanging on a pull-up bar and just gently arching my back just a little bit to try and get that light, gentle traction through the hips. That felt pretty good. Coming out of it was a little bit uncomfortable because once everything gets stretched and relaxed, then it forcing it to tighten back up if it's already upset can be a little bit irritating. But that was one thing that I did just to try and help increase my range of motion, increase my movement and everything. I progressed that one into Donnie Thompson's lower back protocol, which I've talked about in the past many times, and I love to do that one anyways. I would not do his lower back protocol super acutely, like immediately after an injury, just because you're hanging by your hips, and if your back is completely seized up, it may be very difficult to get into that position, and it may be even more difficult to get out of that position. So I would be very careful utilizing that. But it is fantastic, especially 4 or 5 days after, when everything had kind of calmed down more. That one helped a ton. That one felt amazing. So I did some of those. I did some gentle stretching. I did some of the cobra pose very gently. And within about a week or so of just doing a lot of this very gentle range of motion stuff, it pretty much isolated to my left quadratus lumborum, QL. And so once I knew that that was the muscle that was particularly irritated, which makes sense because with the way everyone was doing the manips, that's the muscle right next to the joints that everyone was trying to crack. I'm trying to use layman's terms here. So my left QL was very irritated, and once I figured that out, then I knew that there's a lot more I could do to directly work on that in particular. All right, so now we're at the point where pain is mostly gone, range of motion is pretty much back to normal. I know what was overly irritated, what was overly aggravated, and so I tried to find different exercises that would work on that. And so a lot of them was single or double arm kettlebell swings or suitcase